Happy New Year, and welcome back for another episode of the Family Law Insider Podcast. For the very first episode this year, I'm so happy to present Susan Bremer O'Neill, and Susan is a past guest of the Family Law Insider. She is an author. She's the author of the book From Sex Appeal to Self-Appeal. She's a women's empowerment coach and a personal fusion consultant. So Susan's going to talk to us about what that means exactly, but today she's here to talk to us about loving ourselves and loving our bodies to change our lives in the new year. And at this time, I think that's something that a lot of us are interested in. We go into the new year with renewed energy and a sense of hope and wanting to accomplish all kinds of things. But I think what Susan is going to talk about is where this all begins, which is with you. So thank you, Susan, for joining me today, and Happy New Year.
Oh, thank you, Wendy, for having me, and Happy New Year to you, too, and all your guests.
Thank you. So, Susan, in 2015, you are launching a new program that's called Love Your Body, Change Your Life. Is that right?
Yes, and I am very excited about it. It is actually where my passion lies, and it just took me a little while to figure out the exact program, and I'm thinking it will do great things for a lot of women, and that's my hope.
Okay, so you say this is where your passion lies, and can you define exactly what it is that we're talking about here that's your passion?
Well, my passion is helping women feel good about themselves, and it starts with our body. Now, obviously, our mind has so much to do with how we feel. That's where it will originate if we're not feeling good about ourselves. But honestly, how we feel about ourselves just lives in our body, and our body is our home. And there are so many reasons why we don't feel good about our bodies, and I'm hoping to remedy some of that for change, any kind of change.
Do you think it's possible for somebody to feel 100% fabulous about their body and love their body? Is that ever going to happen for any of us?
I'm hoping. I have very rare glimpses of it myself, and one of the reasons I do this is because I have issues, as I wrote about in my memoir, and as an aging woman in this world. I think it can happen. It's when we completely kind of shut out all that external noise and really just come back to our center and who we are.
So when you say shut out the external noise, what noise are you talking about? Are you talking about, the ads that we see on TV of the Victoria's Secret models? Or are you talking about, the girl that sits in the cubicle next door who has the perfect body? I mean, what noise are you talking about?
Exactly. All of the above.
Yeah.
There are so many reasons why it does begin, or at least is perpetuated in the media. So yes, advertisements that are all airbrushed, we know that, but still we see them all the time. The woman next door in the cubicle who we think has the perfect body by today's standards. Now that's interesting because we've only been told what this physically perfect body is by the media, but we don't know what's going on in her mind, and we have to remember that. Also, the messages we were given as when we were brought up. So we were brought up by humans, and humans have humanness and issues, and so everything that was taught to us we interpreted as we were growing up with a childlike mind. So no matter what their motivations or influences were, our parents or our caregivers, then we took that in, and that's noise as well. Now that's internal noise, that's not external. But it's very hard for us to completely shut out all the external. And we just work with the internal. As well.
It's interesting because, I like probably every other woman on the planet I have body issues, my own issues, and I thought for a long time that these came from my parents, and maybe in some part that these issues did, the way that I was raised, and how they were, they pushed modesty, a lot, which I think has manifested in shame for me of the body. But I'm rethinking that because I have a 3-year-old daughter who all of a sudden is becoming really aware of her body. And, if she doesn't want to be naked anymore like she did when she was an infant. She always wants clothes on, or if like I just have my underwear on, she wants me to put a shirt on. So, I mean, where is this coming from? Do you have any idea, Susan? And how do we start working with children from the beginning to not be ashamed of their bodies?
Interesting. I unfortunately don't have any children and hadn't really thought much about the infant and clothing, but you're right, it does, I think, have to do with shame. And I mean, we could go all the way back to original sin if you were raised in any sort of a religion.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a part of it. I think, too, any time, well, a child being that young, she might just be developing that sense of autonomy where she's realizing she has a separate body. Yeah. But if she's also getting images, young people get images so young that maybe her body doesn't look like somebody else's body, and therefore she needs to start covering it up. I can't say for sure about that.
Yeah. So, okay. So earlier we're talking about then coming back to ourselves, which is, something that I would like to do, and I'd like to encourage women to do, and I'm not quite sure how to do it. I'd like to have my daughter do. So where do we start coming back to ourselves?
It starts with taking time, and I do have 3 pieces that I want to share in the free call that I'm doing. But I think the biggest one for me, and that I really emphasize that I'll share with your audience, is that we need to only compare ourselves with ourselves. I think that so much of when we look at somebody else, another woman, whether it's with material possessions, living in the competitive world, or with the way that the body looks, and when we measure our external appearance based not only on how we look to others and to ourselves, but also with how we feel about how we look, then we're setting ourselves up just for maybe jealousy. And so really just comparing ourselves to ourselves, and then thinking of our body not merely as something for others to look at, thinking of it as this amazing vehicle that we get to live in every day and that does all these things for ourselves. I mean, I could tell you some really interesting facts that I haven't looked at today, so the factual piece might be off, but I mean, just think about how much oxygen you pump through your lungs and how much blood just goes through your body every day to support and nourish and make sure that you continue to live. And we are just amazing. And then those of us who still have everything functioning well, right? We're walking, we're breathing, and then these people who live amazing lives with some physical disability. They're still living in their body, and they're probably at times, unfortunately, more appreciative of themselves than we are of ourselves.
Yes, yes. So I think that's a great piece of advice. So don't compare your body to other people, or this idea of what you think your body should look like. That's the point, the first point?
Yes, that was the first point. And the interesting thing about us women, and this I learned a long time ago when I was that exotic dancer, and what I've talked with women about is, isn't it typical for us to be complimented, right, by our partner or somebody else, and then if we're in that mode, which I know that I am often, I will negate that and say, oh yeah, but but this isn't right, or I want to fix this. And so we don't even take that compliment in. The people in our lives who really matter, they don't see any of these things that we think are flaws. They just see what's beautiful about us.
Yeah, that's so true. That is really true. Yep, yep. So what would you say then to the person who says to you, okay, well, I'm not going to compare myself to Victoria's Secret on TV anymore, the girl in the cubicle, but what about what I looked like 3 years ago, or 10 years ago, or before I had a baby? I mean, my body's changing. I'm getting older, and I want to look like what I did, years ago. How do we get out of that cycle, or do we?
I'm right there. That's where I am, being in my mid 50s, and I know exactly what that's like. I say to myself and to everyone else, we have to be realistic. I will never look like I did 3 years ago, but at the same time, my wisdom, fortunately, has grown tremendously. So I don't need to look like that. That was more of um, a way of appealing to others. Now, besides being realistic, I say, how do you feel? That's the other piece, right? How do we feel in our body? How is our body supporting us? For instance, myself, I'm having to make dietary changes. If I want to continue to be fit, I have to now get myself to the gym a little more and find the pieces of exercising that are healthy and that I enjoy, because it's more about how I feel. And every woman should be, or it would benefit her most if she is more concerned with how she feels. Do her legs feel strong, and if not, why? And what can she do slowly? Because even if I was able, and to get back to the way I looked 3 years ago, I probably was, you probably are. Many of us probably are. Do we want to put that much time and energy into it? And because now it would take that much more work, and other things are more important. So being realistic, and then just feeling healthy, and honoring. I'm getting brown spots on my hands, and that's difficult, and I know that there are ways to try and eliminate that, but that costs money, and that takes time, and there's energy there that I just don't want to devote to that, because I have more important things to do in the world.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. So I want to switch gears a little bit, but we're still on the same topic, because I watched your little preview of the call that you're going to do. And you have a little description beneath it, and you talk about how doing certain things like, for example, over-exercising may not be showing your body the love that your body needs, or maybe paying more attention to other people's needs than your own. So I'd like to talk a little bit about these topics, and first I'd like to talk about the exercise, because I know that I've been seeing all these jokes on Facebook in the past few days about how, oh, the New Year's here comes the people who've made all the resolutions, watch out, in the gym. And, this idea of over-exercising is interesting to me. So can you talk to me a little bit about what you mean by that, and, how can a person tell if they're over-exercising? And along those lines, is it possible that a person might be doing a sort of exercise that's not right for them, or their bodies, or their age, or whatever, and maybe they need to look at something different? And if they are doing that, would that not be showing love? I know that's a lot of questions I asked. Sorry.
Okay, I got it. No, I got it.
Okay.
First of all, yes, it's the time of year when we many people make resolutions, and I recently just wrote a blog about, don't make a resolution, make a decision, right? Only 8% of people actually fulfill their resolutions, and for me, making a decision is more empowering. It's about choice and it's about action. And actually, anything that you want to have sustained is going to take just continuous action. Going into the gym this time of year is great as long as you continue. And so as far as continue throughout the year, as far as over-exercising, and I know this one because I did it myself, pushing yourself beyond a limit, beyond a physical pain, doing the aerobics or even the Pilates. Well, Pilates I'm not too familiar with, but doing aerobics or Zumba, anything that's causing you to your heartbeat to go so fast, that's over-exercising. Feeling like you have got to get into the gym every day or every day for 2 or 3 hours or every other day for 2 or 3 hours, that might be over-exercising. It's hard for, well, or even exercising when other things need to take priority. That might be over-exercising too. For each person, it's going to be different. I say, again, doing things more slowly and in a methodical way. Face it, if you have 20, 50, 100 pounds to lose, it's not going to happen overnight. And we do live in a quick culture, and I know I want to do things quick too, and I've really had to rein myself in. And really research and be careful about going to gyms. Years and years ago, I talked with the owners of 24 Hour Fitness, and gyms make their money on people who sign up and then don't go after a while. And then also, oftentimes, they have trainers who they may be well-meaning trainers, but they may be uneducated as your body, and they may push you. I've had that happen to me a long time ago. They push you to the point of hurting something, and I've heard of that happening with other people. So, you know, if you're not an exerciser and suddenly you're going to lose, let's say 50 pounds. That's a lot of weight. You're going to lose 50 pounds, and you're going to get in the gym every day, and you're going to eat healthy, and well, that's all really great, but is that something that you can sustain? I suggest and promote starting slowly and starting with one little change, because habit change a negative habit has to be replaced by a positive habit, and then you have to have, research shows now, somewhere like 66 days to make a habit change. So I know that was a lot there, but again, it's tuning in and listening as to what feels good and what hurts. Now, I mean, I can go on. You know, if you're going to start weight training, then you're going to have a little pain, but not to where it's detrimental and damaging. And just be smart. You know, you have to be smart and get good support, knowledgeable people to support you.
So I would think, and maybe you can confirm this or not, but you know, as people tend to get older, then maybe, you know, what they had been doing years ago as far as a workout routine might transition too. They may feel the need for something different. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think I was told once that a couple things happen to people as they get older. They'll either get more mellow or they'll get more neurotic. And if you're in the mellow stage, which I hope I'm getting, then yeah, the exercise needs to be a little more easier. I'm thinking Tai Chi. That would be so wonderful. And I don't do even the strenuous Zumba that I had liked in the past, because I do have some aches and pains. But yeah, things shift, and as they should.
How can a person, do you have suggestions for a person who wants to get to the gym or get into shape, but they're not sure what's right for them? How can they tune into themselves and maybe find a direction, you know, that might make them happy because it is right for them?
I say research everything, and that can be research at the gym too, and just be open and curious. I know we talked before about scientist of the self, so if we stay open and curious like little children, then we can, we can ask somebody. If we see an instructor doing a class and it looks interesting but we're not sure if it's right for us, we can ask. If we see someone using a weight machine and we want to do it, and maybe ask the person we see if we think they're doing it well, ask the trainers at the gym, research all the different things online, and then mix it up. And I know people say this, I walk, and then I go to the gym, and then I do the elliptical, and then I walk with my husband, which is wonderful, and then so having a variety of things, and even try out some stuff at home. I mean, yoga you can be done at home. So just really research and take the time. And if something doesn't work, if you're not excited, okay, and let's face it, maybe we're not going to be excited initially, but there are actually things I love doing at the gym. I may be a little odd, but mixing it up, and find things that just resonate, and it may be simple things like walking, a little swimming, a little yoga, a little tai chi, who knows, but asking questions and really being curious about it.
Okay, cool, thank you. Okay, so let's talk, so getting the exercise in the right amounts in the right way, that's one way of loving your body. What about overdoing for others? How is that not loving our body? And how do we know that we're doing that?
That's a hard one, especially with women and responsibility. One way you can tell that you're not doing that is if you're pushing yourself with caffeine all the time, or energy drinks. Are you drinking caffeine throughout the day? And that eventually will cause a whole bunch of issues with adrenal fatigue and this sort of thing. We have work, we have children, we have husbands, we have girlfriends. If we feel like we're stressed and overwhelmed all the time, my sister, who doesn't even have children, said to me recently, I feel like life is just one big busy circle. So that is, for me, I know in the past it has manifested as just like a constant gotta do, and shoulders. If you're feeling your shoulders up around your head, these are some signs. If you're eating late at night and when everyone else is in bed, just trying to relax. When we're tired, typically we'll go for high sugary foods to help us give us more energy. So these are just a few things that might indicate we're not loving our body. And then there's the whole question of how to love, how to shift that. And again, one thing at a time, and just carving out a little bit of time. I have a woman I work with, and she did something very interesting when her and I started working together. She went off. We were doing an event, and we got to the venue, and I was rushed. I wanted to get things set up. I was giving a class, and she pardoned herself and went to the bathroom, and she put her makeup on, and she came back. And I said to her, well, hey, we got to get this stuff done, and I'm trying to get it all perfect for my clients and the women coming. And she said, well, I learned a long time ago that I have to take care of me first. And when she said that to me, it made so much sense. And I honored her, and I thought, yeah, good girl, and I will know better next time, and I will prepare accordingly. But she had the right answer. So whether it's, putting on makeup or taking that 5 minutes, in the morning or at lunch, or just starting to carve out a little time to just, again, feel, how do I feel? Can the husband take the kids for a half an hour or an hour? Can grandma, can the assistant do this? Just finding the little way to get that time, because at the end of the day, if you're high on caffeine or eating too much sugar, my cat's starting to look in
I
my
see her.
high on caffeine, eating too much sugar because you're tired and you have to keep going, or that's going to catch up with you. And the people who you're running around trying to serve, family members or even clients, they're gonna feel that energy. When we start to love our bodies more, our energy vibrations shift. And then that's how we actually just change and influence those around us, because they feel that. If we're more relaxed, they're more relaxed.
Yeah. I agree with that. So by taking the time to love ourselves and paying attention to the things that we're doing, then you think that we can change our lives kind of, I don't know what the word is, but it can be a side effect of us are loving our bodies. Does that make sense?
Yes, it all starts with us. No matter what you want to change, whether it might be a different work, whether it would be more intimacy in a relationship or a new relationship, whether it would be more harmonious times at home with children, it really does start with us. Because when we're more relaxed, when we're more happy, when we're more healthful, and exercise for health, then and I'm just doing some weird energy vibrations. Then our energy vibrations, we all resonate at an energy, and things come to us. Ideas come to us, intuition. We have so many answers inside of us, Wendy, but if we're running around trying to please, trying to fix, trying to be everything to everybody, we don't get to know what our real answers are. And I really, really believe this, and I know it works. I know it works.
I believe you. I believe you. So, and we only have a couple more minutes left, but as you were talking about taking care of ourselves first, something occurred to me, and I'm wondering if you could just speak to it for a minute, and that is, what do you say to the person who feels really guilty for whatever reason about taking care of themselves first, or taking, that hour for the exercise class or the half hour to take a bath at night? I mean, how does that person deal with the guilt? Because if they're feeling guilty while they're doing this stuff that's supposed to be good for them, I don't know how good it really is.
Well, exactly. I mean, no one wants to feel guilty. That undermines our health. I would say, first of all, really explore that guilt. And the reasoning behind it. Is it a message that he or she was given that something's going to fall apart if they're not there, or if there was a role modeling of that from when they were young, and the mother was always there, or the father was always there and didn't take any time. So really explore where that guilt comes from, and then when you know a little more clearly where the guilt stems and who it might be impacting, because I can assume that if you're feeling guilty about taking an hour for an exercise class, then it's impacting somebody else's life that you feel you should be attending to. So really dialoguing with that person, or whether it's a child or another adult, and really discussing and letting them know that when mommy's happy, then she can be more present, because the exercise also, besides helping you feel better and ground you in your body, helps you figure out ideas, dilemmas to problems. I don't know if you've experienced that, but there's the whole kinesthetic movement of the body where more intuition, more ideas come, and all that can be explained, and it would be, as far as family members go, it would be role modeling good self-care, which is really what we want for all of those people we love. So
Exactly.
did that help some?
That did help. That really helped a lot. So just really having a conversation around it with the people that you're feeling guilty about, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, and everything.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's everything. I believe that everything can be worked through, but first it has to come out. So if you would stuff the guilt, I mean, first of all, that's not going to be very effective for very long, because then you're probably going to end up not doing the exercise or not doing the good self-care. If it comes out, if it's explored, if it's talked about, then there might even be more ways to modify. You know, not an hour every day, but maybe an hour every other day. And finding the balance where everybody gets their needs met. Often, too, if we don't discuss what's happening, then there may be ideas from the other party that we don't even know. Just off the top of my head, I'm going to use a child. Say we have a 10-year-old child and we think we should be home taking care of her, getting her lunch, or however. Maybe she would enjoy getting some of that on her own, feel more grown up. Of course, if there's a parent home, maybe she would enjoy spending another half an hour with her friend. I don't know what the answer is, but there are ways to have everyone discuss it and come to ideas that won't continue to have you feel the guilt. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Susan. So it's time to wrap up, but before we do, I'd love for you to talk to people about this program where you can explore these ideas more in depth and, you know, and just really help people through or get started in loving themselves in 2015.
Well, I say make a decision to have change and then be relaxed enough and show up. The free call that I'm offering is Love Your Body, Change Your Life. And you can register for it at selfappeal.com-love-your-body. So selfappeal.com. Oh, actually, you can just go to classes. It's right there. Classes on the selfappeal.com website. In my memoir, if you would like to know how or why I am so passionate about this, is because when I began to love and value myself more, as I write about in my memoir, From Sex Appeal to Self-Appeal, which is also available, linked through on my website or on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, then you can read that story. The call will help you explore some ways that you may not be showing as much love to yourself as you can. It will help you explore how to immediately start showing more love to yourself. And I have a bonus piece about intimacy with your partner, because we're all want to be loved and have a really good relationship. So that's a piece of what will be also said on the call.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. It was wonderful talking to you again, and I hope to talk to you again in 2015 and check in. And, you know, I appreciated everything that you had to say, and I think that a lot of people needed to hear it, including myself, right now at this time, at the beginning of a new year. So Thank you so much. And that is good. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you, Wendy, and I need to hear it as well, and I'm always reminded when I talk about it, so thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. So, for you out there listening, that's going to do it for this episode of the Family Law Insider podcast. Remember, we're on your side when it matters most, and I'll see you next time.